Tá. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday talk. Today, I don't have any announcements to make other than maybe, no announcements. I'll go straight to our first text before we jump into our topic today, which you may be seeing. That's the birth of Jesus, and we'll talk a little bit about Christmas. Okay, so today I'm going to read text 180 and not news, entitled Christmas, from the Living Spring book from Francisco Cândido Xavier by the Spirit Emmanuel. And glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to men of goodwill. That's a passage from Luke 2:14. Announcing the great renewer, the angelic legion at the manger spoke no word of violence. Glory to God in the divine universe, peace on earth, goodwill to men and women, bequeathing the new age of safety and tranquility to the world. The Supreme Father did not vest the heavenly ambassador with powers to injure or destroy. No punishment for the greedy rich, no punishment for the desperate poor, no disdain for the weak, no condemnation for sinners, no hostility towards the proud Pharisee, no anathema against the unaware Gentile. Using the hands of Jesus, the divine treasure was poured out for the work of goodwill. The justice of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth had finally encountered love, ready and willing for sublime selflessness, all the way to the cross. Amazed before the light born in the stable, people and animals express indescribable joy. From that unforgettable moment on, the earth would be renewed. The torturer would be worthy of compassion. The enemy would become a misguided brother or sister. The criminal would be regarded as ill. In Rome, the people would gradually cease the slaughter in the circus. In Sidon, slaves would no longer have their eyes gouged out by the cruelty of their masters. In Jerusalem, the sick would no longer be relegated to the valleys of filth. Jesus brought the message of true fraternity, and revealing it, he passed victoriously from the straw manger to the bloody cross. Brothers and sisters, you who hear the sweet echoes of the angel's miraculous song at Christmas, remember that the Master came to us so that we may love one another. Christmas, good news, goodwill. Let us extend sympathy to all, and let us truly begin to live with Jesus in the splendor of a new day. Let us pray. Connected with this text, with this beautiful text that already makes us think more about what the true meaning of Christmas is, let's raise our thoughts, connect our minds to the minds of our Father and our Master and our brother Jesus, together with the spiritual guides of our beloved house FSS, with each one of us, of our guardian angels. Let's first express our most sincere feelings of gratitude. Gratitude for one more year that is coming to an end. gratitude for one more cycle that is being closed and one more cycle that will be renewed and will be starting in the new year. Let's be grateful for this house that's our second home of love. And let's be grateful for all the blessings and everything that God and Jesus has been providing and will continue to provide, that we continue in our journey of moral evolvement. Let's ask that we have one more blessed Sunday morning, that some of the information, the knowledge that we will be reflecting, as simple as they are, that we can take into our hearts, in our minds, in our souls, and we can continue reflecting on those throughout the day, the week, the month, and to the next year. Let's ask that we have enlightenment and a morning of light, of peace, and of serenity. So be it. Okay, so today, as we are in this time of Christmas, we're celebrating, we're coming towards the end of another year, another 2021. I thought I would bring, again now in the English version, some information about the birth of Jesus and what does it all mean, and what are some of the historical facts that happened from the birth, that happened at the birth of Jesus, and some of those facts, some of those details, how would they translate? What's the meaning of everything that happened from Jesus being born in the manger, from the animals that were the first visiting Jesus, to the time that Jesus was born, as during the night? What does it all mean in our lives? Was that only a point of coincidence? It was just was by chance that those pieces happened? And I would like to share that, as we know, there's no coincidence, nothing happens by chance. There is a true meaning, and we can take that meaning to our own lives. And some like the first reflective question that we posed yesterday as the title of the talk today is: the birth of Jesus. Have we opened the necessary space? Have we made room in our souls so that Jesus can be born and dwell within us? And the objective, as I mentioned, is to understand Christmas beyond the historical fact, but as an opportunity for us to do something, for something to happen inside ourselves and inside each one of us. And what I use to make this talk is 3 books. First, I would like to start with the text from a book called Fonte de Paz, or Source of Peace, free translation from Chico Xavier, and the text called Natal do Cristo, or Christ's Christmas, where with this text we will just set a little bit of context and what Emmanuel tells us about why Christmas is happening at the time it's happening. And what is the relationship between Christmas being December 25th and the new year so close? What does that all mean to us? So hopefully you enjoy that part. And then there is kind of towards the end of this text, there is this call for Jesus and for us to make room and to make the necessary space for Jesus to be born within us. And getting that hanger from that last piece of that text of Christ's Christmas, I'd like to take one other text called Symbolic Christmas or Natal Simbólico, which can be found in two books, Antologia Mediúnica do Natal or Pontos e Contos, the same from Chico, but by the Spirit brother X or Humberto de Campos. And to help me to reflect about all those two texts, there is some reflections made by Arthur Valadares, more specifically into the symbolic Christmas. So that's kind of my sources for today. So let's start with this first text called Christ's Christmas. And here it starts saying that the wisdom of life place Christmas of Jesus ahead of the new year in the memory of humanity, as if renewing the opportunities for fraternal love in light of our commitments to time. So here, Emmanuel with this text starts explaining that it wasn't by chance that we have New Year's right after Christmas. There is a purpose. And Arthur elaborates with that text saying, as human beings, as spirits that are in this evolution journey, we do work, and I really relate to that, we do work very well in cycles, right? Even, and I remember maybe a couple talks ago, when we talk about the cycles that Mother Nature gives to us with spring, summer, winter, and fall, we as humans, we do work with those cycles. And as the way that Christmas, with this renewed joy and love, and then comes New Year, it's that opportunity for us to recognize a cycle that is ending, and with that cycle that is ending, a moment of reflection of everything that we've done, all the accomplishments that we were able to make, and all the learnings. More importantly, all the learnings that cycle that is kind of getting behind us, in this case 2021, gives us that opportunity of reflection. But is that the only thing? Is that only that opportunity of reflection of a cycle that is ending? No. The new year gives us that renewed energy and that opportunity for us. Maybe in 2021 and any other years in our past, we weren't able to do everything that we were planning to do. So that new cycle gives us hope. That new cycle renews our hope that I have one more opportunity, one more chance to do whatever I need to do. And each one of us know what are our priorities as immortal spirits that we are, and which the sheeps that we would like to take care, and the virtues that would like to work on. So, and then he continues, annually the same exalted rays of the stars of Bethlehem are projected onto the earth, clearing the path of hearts in the wake of insensate days, silently summoning our souls to the accent of all resources for the supreme good. The remembrance of the Masters awakens new vibrations in the feeling of Christianity. So here we know that in this earth that we are, Christmas Day and the Christmas time and the Christmas period, there is still I would say a lot of consumerism, right? The date is remembered by some of the buying gifts and to that commercial focus and the material focus of it. And it's all good as long as we are able to balance that. But nonetheless, even with that focus at this time, earth and people, there is a whole energy surrounding earth during this time where people, even though maybe representing a little bit of the hope and love through the material gift, there's still a lot of vibration of love, vibration of peace, and vibration of positive feelings and positive thoughts, which really does make a difference in the environment that we are living in. And we can feel that. We can see that at this time we become a little bit more sensitive. We become a little bit more, not so much relaxed, but we take into consideration a little bit more of what am I feeling? What are my thoughts? And how I can work on those thoughts and feelings, and what those thoughts and feelings are meaning to me. And you can even with the materialism and the consumerism it does happen throughout the day. We can see even with marketing, there is a whole theme to reconcile. There's a whole theme of making amendments, and this really does make a difference in the area, in the earth, in our earth. But why? What's that point? Okay, there is a better energy happening. So that is the moment that we can leverage, and with all the love, fraternity, peace, we can try, and we are invited to find some moments of intimacy with who? With Jesus. Leveraging those moments that we are more connected, where we are more on the positive side. And we've been in this pandemic it will be 2 years. That's the second Christmas that we are in this challenging times. So that's one more opportunity for us to develop that intimacy with Jesus. And that intimacy is within each one of us. However, the invitation is not only to develop or start that intimacy of welcoming Jesus within us, not only at this time, in this 30 days, 25 days, or however many days that we would like to, is to extend this. And I think here the invitation is, let's take a look, let's pause a little bit and see how good those moments of love, peace, and fraternity, and how that enable us to develop that intimacy, so we can remember and we can extend not only into January, but throughout the next year and the following years of our lives. The festive tone of our expressions of renewed confidence are very natural. However, we cannot forget the renovating work that Christmas invites us to each year, despite the crystallized pessimisms of many members who gave up temporarily from fraternal communion. So again, translate all this festivity, all the excitement that we have, that we might be meeting with our beloved ones, to enjoy a good meal, to enjoy a good time together. So leveraging again this tone, this energy that we are surrounded at this time of year, to use as a motivation to develop something better within each one of us. And he continues, the birthday of Jesus precedes the birthday of time. With the Master, we received the day of love and concord. In time, we find the day of universal fraternity. The first renews joy. The second reforms accountability. So here, Emmanuel is saying, first we have Christmas, right? The birthday of the time of the Master, which we can use and we can feel that undescribable and that so powerful love. So that renews us with joy. It's like, yeah, we can do it. I can feel it. And if I am going through challenging times where I'm finding a hard time to find love within myself, which is where everybody starts, or I'm challenging with the love within my environment, that day, that Christmas at the birth of Jesus renews that to us. But hey, right after that, we have a renewal of the time, which is January 1st, is the Universal Day of Fraternity. It's a new cycle that is renewing. So that's the new year. That is our accountability. That is the time that we think what I will be able to do, how I can use that joy that Jesus has been giving, not only in this time of Christmas, that we know that Jesus never stays apart from us, stays away from us. It's us that sometimes we forget. Sometimes our Jesus, when I use the analogy of the boat, Jesus is a little bit sleeping in our boat, and it's up to us to wake that Jesus into us. And so that accountability for us, and we know, and I really appreciate a theme in all the texts that Emmanuel has provided us. There is this requirement for us to do our part, for us to practice, for us to make all the efforts in order to achieve whatever we are planning to achieve according to our plan to be incarnated on this earth. And even though we are talking about, it's just year by year, going from 21 to 22, 22 to 23, I think there is another extension of all this, of this time, not only from year to year, but also from incarnation to incarnation. For us to be mindful that we are aware of our duty and our right to be happy, and do and at least try to make all the efforts according to each one's capability, so we don't so it doesn't happen what Emmanuel calls to say, that we lose the opportunity of one incarnation and we postpone to another incarnation. So even though we are talking about a 1 year cycle, I think this concept can also be expanded to the cycle of one incarnation. And even though it seems like, one incarnation is so much time, but as we know, there's just a small point in time, as we are immortal spirits. And it's important for us to renew that accountability and take a look. What is happening? Meet with each one of us, do that assessment, do that X-ray, and sometimes that X-ray will show some spots that need a little bit of work, so we are aware and we try to do our best to work on those spots. Again, always reminding, we are not solving 100% of our problems and this is the last incarnation and everything will be solved. God has no rush, and neither should we have that rush, because we have all the time to complete that. And it ends. This is how I have this bolded last sentence here, that I would kind of use this connection to start with another text. Emmanuel continues, let's start by offering him, or Jesus, 5 minutes of thought and activity. And in a short space of time, our spirit will find itself converted into a living altar of its infinite goodwill towards creatures, on the basis of wisdom and love. Let us not forget, if Jesus is not born, and grows up in the manger of our souls, in vain the new years will open up for us enlightenment. So here's the call to action that we have here in English. That's a very clear invitation, or I think call to action and invitation, they're very, very similar and can be used for each one of us to separate that time. Not only now, but to give those minutes, whatever or how many minutes are necessary, and each one of us will be the ones that will know what is required to use that wisdom and love to do the work that is required. And here Emmanuel is very, very clear that if Jesus is not born and kind of develops inside of us, year after year, we will be not taking full advantage of this renewed cycle. And again, I would like to expand not only year after year, but incarnation after incarnation. It's so important that we know it's God's time, but we have a responsibility to use that time to the best of our capabilities. So, if there is this strong invitation that Jesus should be born and must be born within us, so we can learn with him, so we can use all his teachings and all the way that he conducted himself, the way that he became our model, so we can have those enlightened new years ahead of us. So let's now go into a little bit of the facts, a little bit of the history of what happened when Jesus was born, and what does it all mean to each one of us, and what does it, within using that historical knowledge, what can we do in our daily lives to keep going forward, to keep moving to the right direction of us developing our intellect and our moral. So here it starts, and here brother X, he just to give a little bit of context, he was in the spiritual world, and he was here listening to someone talk, and kind of listening to a lecture, and he will describe what he listened, and he will give us those knowledge, and he will help us with the reflection on what does it mean, everything he hears from the person, the spiritual world talking, and what does it mean to the humanity as we are right now. So he starts with delicate harmonies cross the landscapes as the lucid messenger continued. Each spirit is a world where Christ must be born. And here in the simple sentence, when he mentions that each spirit is a world, and indeed each one of us is a world. Each one of us is a world containing special areas, a special continent, and special features that in each one of those features of each one of us, Christ must be born. And he, in this invitation, in this analogy of world, I think it's right in he will continue, and he will say that it would have been madness to hope for the reform of the world without a reformed man. We will never meet Christians without building the Christian soul. And this very much sentence here, I think, reflects a lot of this transition that the planet is going through. And sometimes there's a little bit of confusion in this transition. And many of us might think, oh, let's let the word be. Let the word take its course, because some miraculous thing or someone will come here and will figure this thing out and will continue with this transition. But that's not the intention, and that's not exactly according to the spirits how our planet will go from this place to a better place. Because it's only with the reformed man. It's only if we have, I don't know, 7 billion people on this earth, it's the requirement. It will be if every single person that forms and that lives on this earth needs to complete that transformation, to be this reformed man that Emmanuel mentions here. Otherwise, the planet will not get to this evolved state. Of course, we won't be able to do everything, and we know with the divine mercy, there will be, as new people are incarnating, new spirits are incarnating here on earth, that will have their responsibilities to help and to guide us into that direction. But nonetheless, it is a requirement. And if we think about the divine laws, the law of progress, the law of work, the law of labor, if we don't do our part, we won't be able to get to that state with Earth. And if we're thinking about Christmas, what does it all have to be with Christmas? If you think about Christmas and you think about gifts, Arthur actually poses a very interesting question about what is the best gift or what is the best contribution that we can give Christ right now. If we're all talking about gifts, what is the best gift? What is the one that Christ would like us to send to him? And Arthur mentions this as simple as ourselves. It's doing the work within ourselves. That is the great expectation and the best thing that we can offer Christ, because as we do the work within ourselves, as we look into our inner self to see what is my role here on this earth. Every one of us has our own roles to help for a better world, and connect that work with the work of Christ. That is the best attitude or the best thing that we can do right now, because we know we all have our work here, and it is all connected, and it is so important for us to continue to doing what we call sometimes our circumstantial work, the work that has its purpose for right now. But we know that we have the work that is permanent, the work that it doesn't matter once the body of Luis leave this earth. That work, the existential work, will continue along with the development and the involvement of Luis's immortal spirit. So if we think about gift, the best gift for now for Christ is ourselves and the work that we do to improve our only selves. And as we do, and we'll see in some of the passages, things starting overflowing, right? As we work on ourselves and as we make that progress, we start to be in a better and even more better place, that our virtues and everything that we develop, it starts to be overflowing and going and helping the ones that are close to us, being family or society or anyone that is surrounding us. Oops. So this is why the Christmas of the Lord is of profound importance for every one of us. So there, if you're continuing with the theme of world, there is this beautiful another invitation for each one of us to go into our own worlds. And as we go into our own individual worlds, the brother X mentions that we have with us or within us oceans of divine blessings, wonderful continents of possibilities, forests of feelings to be educated, deserts of ignorance to be corrected, innumerable tribes of thoughts that populate us, the infinite extension of the inner world. From time to time, refreshing storms sweep our inner self, and relentless hurricanes hit our lying idols. I personally think that this is one of the most beautiful descriptions that I have read so far, and kind of putting our inner world into words that we know, right? Into words of oceans, continents, forests, and deserts. And with all those superlatives, we can see the size of our own world, the size of our own immortal experience. And this invitation, even though sometimes, like I really like to travel, is that just to go around and visit the places here on Earth? Not exactly. This new world is the world that is inside us. And this world that we will navigate in oceans and continents, it's part of the journey of searching for God within us. Not only God, but all the divine potential that God has put inside of us, in each one of us. And there's a passage that Arthur brings of the book, Paulo e Estevão, where, if you remember, when Saulo at that point was starting his journey, he was a little bit like, what do I do? Where do I start? What do I do first? And he goes back to Gamaliel, which was one of the mentors that Saulo had, and he asks, what should I do? Where should I start? And Gamaliel mentions that to adapt to the gospel, it's like discovering a new country whose greatness is lost in the infinity of the soul. So when I read that sentence, I tried to kind of say, that's very deep. How can I translate into something a little bit more tangible, or experience that I have, and I think most of us here living in Canada have been through, which is when we land here, we have to discover Canada, right? We have to discover how do I get my health insurance? Where do I go to take the train? What does it mean to pay taxes? How do I get a job? So even though it's very simplistic comparison, but that's kind of the same. When we want to embark into the gospel, embark into Jesus' teachings, it's discovering this new country, like we discovered when we come here. But it's a more in-depth discovery. It's a more, and sometimes even a more challenging. Sometimes we will encounter some oceans or the deserts of ignorance that we have, that we might be a little bit frightened and say, I'm not sure, how do I feel about staying in this desert and shining some light into my lack of knowledge or my ignorance to be a better person. So it's opened this space. It's opened this space, especially now with the birth of Jesus, for us to enter with our passports and all of our energy and will to make that discovery. Sometimes we will discover those oceans of blessings, and we are motivated by those. And even though we might encounter some deserts, or we might face some storms, right? And we all know some storms just come very abruptly and shakes us. But even with that shaking, there is a positive intention and outcome that we get out of that storm even even stronger. So now I would like to use a little bit of this format. As the brother acts, now Humberto de Campos, will start entering into describing the historical facts that happened in the birth of Christ and what does that mean in our lives. So first is the birth of Jesus happened at a time of census. So census is Jesus' parents were living in one town, and they had, due to the census of investigating, and the census is about asking questions and investigating what is happening in certain regions. The parents of Jesus go to a different place, and it's within that movement that Jesus is born. But there is a point of having that census. And what is the point? Is we reach the essential transformation precisely in the stage of spiritual accounts with our own conscience, whether through pain or through the development of our reasoning. So we can see that even though they use the census, it's about asking questions about who is living here, how many people is living here, what type of characteristics of those people. How we can translate that to us is most of times Jesus will find a space to be born within of us when we are in that questioning period within ourselves, because we're questioning some of the values or some of the objectives. Are they really meeting the purpose? Are they really meeting the purpose for my soul? Or are they just meeting the purpose of who I am right now on this earth? What am I searching? Am I searching for peace? Am I searching for harmony? Or how do I search for balance or equilibrium? So those are fundamental questions. And when we are in this, we can say that we are in this interior census. We're trying to navigate and do a research within ourselves. That's where Jesus finds that space. That is, going back to the reflective question at the beginning, that is the kind of some first steps that Jesus will and we will start making that necessary room for Jesus to be born within ourselves. And here, as we know that Saulo is a great example for us. Saulo was in his route to Damascus. He was looking for peace, right? But he had almost everything, right? He had knowledge. He had conquered knowledge. He had conquered prestige. He had conquered influence. But still, he was in that search for peace. And in that search for peace, he was kind of questioning, how come I have all of these things and I still lacked peace? And the ones that are following the simple son of Nazarene, how do they find that? And I can't find with everything that I have. So is that questioning, that census that Saul was taking within himself? That's when Jesus appeared to him. And similar to us, that's when we will, in our country, within of us, that's when maybe a space, a continent, a country, or a city, or a state will start kind of developing within us, so Jesus can be part of us and be born and dwell with us. And he continues, there was no place for the Lord. It was hard to find a place so Jesus can be born, right? So what does that mean? So most of the time. Sometimes we forget. We forget our priorities. Sometimes we never have the mental space for divine inspiration, because sometimes we are a little bit absorbed by the anxieties, or we are limited by our ignorance. And we know for years and ages and millennia, Christ wants to support us. Christ and Jesus wants to enter our inner world. But it's important for us to be aware. Are we being absorbed in I like this expression, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, that we forget what is the study, what is the knowledge that I can cultivate, the really important values of the soul. And when we talk about there was no place and space for the Lord to be born, and sometimes we don't have the mental space, I always remember Sonia when she did a lecture about some guidance of what a good way to pray. And we know that the Lord says that when we go to pray, we go to our room, right? And we shut the door, we close the door. So we're not saying here about a physical room, but we go within ourselves and we disconnect with some of the immediate needs of the world, so we can connect with our essential being, and we can really talk to our Master and our Father. So again, even every detail of this passage, of those historical facts, has such a deep meaning for ourselves. And the only inn or estalagem here for the sublime guest was the manger. So we offer to evangelical thought only a few miserable straws of our goodwill in the darkest place of our mind. So sometimes, and remember at the beginning of that text, give 5 minutes. Sometimes we treat our relationship with Christ with just a few moments here and there, a few minutes or hours here and there, but the purpose is to change us as an integral part of our life. Jesus being an integral part of our lives. And there is a passage from John that God will not give us, we decide the measure of what we'll get from God. And Arthur explains that whatever we want from God and Jesus, it's up to us to establish the measure. And he kind of compared as if we had a river with divine blessings. And each one of us will go to that river and to collect that blessing. It's up to us. What are we taking to that river to take the blessings? Are we taking a glass? Or are we taking a big bucket? It's up to us. The river is accessible to everyone, but the measure of how much we want to take of those blessings, and actually how much effort we want to invest in the blessings of God and Jesus, is us. It's only us that can decide. And it's up to us to take the cup, the glass, the big bucket, or the big basket. It's up to each one of us to decide that investment. And the celestial infant appears within the night. What is the purpose of Jesus being born during the night? Coincidence? No. Almost always we do not feel the goodness of the Lord except at the height of the shadows of our worries and failures. We know sometimes it's the moments of pain that we turn into the Master. And there is, when I learned more about the Beatitudes, And there was that confusion of Levi, right? Levi thought, oh, all the Beatitudes, they're not for those that are suffering. It's for those that are already knowledgeable and know exactly what needs to be done to continue with the work of Jesus. And Jesus kind of corrected Levi and say, it's actually the opposite, right? Those that have already broken, or have already understood that it's not the values of the world, it's the values of the soul. Those are the ones that are suffering, that really understand and will take the blessings of the stars and the blessings of those Beatitudes. And Jesus is that star that is born in the middle of the night, so it can shine the light into our ignorance and help us with some of our trials. The prodigious star breaks the darkness in great silence. When the germ of Christ sprouts in our souls, the star of divine hope challenges our inner darkness. Remember those deserts, obscuring the past, clarifying the present, and indicating the future. So this is a very consoling point, because as Jesus is that bright spot, that silent bright spot in the dark, it gives us that hope. It gives us that light for us. If we had a past, that's okay. Whatever we did, it's already there in the past. The invitation is to take into consideration our apprentice feeling and learned, right? And then it shines the light for us here in the present, that we can, whatever we can do right now. And also indicates that hope for the future. Is that lighthouse with that strong light that we can look and we can practice our faith and believe that we will get to the point that we want to get. Oh, I only have 10 minutes. Flock of animals are the first visit to the celestial envoy. Why animals? Why on earth animals are the first one to visit Jesus? In the solitude of our moral transformation, in the face of the new dawn, the animalized feelings of our being are the first to enjoy the Master's ideal. Remember the Spirit's book, question 907 and 908, that talks about our passions. Our passions are all bad, and we know that our passions are the force that drives us forward, the force that helps us with the achievements that we have. And that's the relationship of those passions and animals, right? Sometimes those passions are not very well guided. And remember with when we learned about our will and having our will, the cabinet of the will that guides our passions to the right directions, so we can achieve and we can improve as an immortal spirit. That's why the animals are first, and that's why we know that when we see and when the Master's thoughts and ideals are internalized by us, it's sometimes those passions are the first ones that can feel the impact, that can feel that those passions now can be better guided, can be better directed. And again, who is our greatest example? Paulo de Tarso, that before, look at how many things that he did thinking that he was in the right direction. But once he found the right purpose, when he encountered with Jesus, he did not complain and kind of was worried about, everything that I had done. No, he took that will and he directed the same passion, the same energy to construct something better according to the Jesus teachings. Shepherds arrive involved in intense light of angels that watch over the divine cradle. Our simplest and purest thoughts approach the new idea, infecting themselves with the sublime clarity coming from the superior geniuses who preside over our destinies and who approach us, driving away incomprehension and fear. So after the animals came the shepherds, the pastors. So when we approach the new ideal, and the only thing that is needed from us is that simplicity. And the manger is that's one of the biggest facts or signs that is that simplicity and the humility that is required for us to approach Christ and to follow Christ as our model here on earth. They sing heavenly militias, and here is so beautiful. At the moment of our renewal in Christ, our old companions, already redeemed, exult with contentment in the upper sphere, giving glory of contentment in the upper sphere. Oh, just repeated everything. So at the moment of our renewal in Christ, our old companions already redeemed and exult with contentment in the older sphere. So imagine, and here I remember of our beloved guardian angels. I can only imagine the happiness and the beautiful state of our guardian angels and our mentors when we really open the space for Christ to be born on us. And I think they kind of the energy that they emanate towards us, and kind of the pat on the back, say, yes, you're Luis, and any one of us is going into that right direction. Pastors spread the wonderful news. Our thoughts, congratulated by the creative impulse of Jesus, communicate with other, organizing themselves for the new life. So as we have that inner happiness, as we invest in the good, we vibrate good, right? We vibrate good to everyone that is near us, from family, society, work, whomever. So that is kind of those pastors spreading the news, and we can spread the news as we work within us. Jesus is preserved in the simple house of Nazareth. We will never be able to give witness to humanity before doing it within ourselves, raising the spirit of the group to which God has led us. And here, Arthur makes a very pointed question. Do you want to start serving Jesus and working alongside with Jesus? We should start with our neighbor. Who is the closest neighbor? Our family. Within our house is our family, that we know that we have the parents and the relatives that we need, so we can develop what we need to develop, not only for within ourselves, but with the group that we are inserted with. And no, there's no other better way to start doing the work with Jesus. The ambassador works in a carpentry shop. Can you imagine Jesus being the supreme spirit going here, the governor of this earth, and he doesn't come here in a retirement mode, right? He doesn't come here on vacation. He works as a carpenter. So if Jesus worked, there's nothing else to say for us to build that kingdom of God within us. We are required to do our work. Of course, always supported by the Divine Master and God. And there's that say, right? Help yourself and the heavens will help you. If we do whatever is up to us to be done, the heavens, the God and our spiritual guides will be able to provide the necessary extra help. And last but not least, later celestial boys surprised the old doctors. Christian thoughts clashes early on with all our ancient conversations concerning wealth and poverty, pleasure and suffering, obedience and stewardship, philosophy and instruction, faith and science. So as we know, once we found more and more about Jesus in the gospel, we start questioning our old patterns, our old values. Not only the values that we develop here, but the values and habits and patterns that we developed ages, centuries, and so many incarnations that we have been through. And I would like just to end with the two questions. Again, as we learn more, how much space have we opened in ourselves and our souls so Jesus can be born and dwell within us? And also, have we adopted the gospel of Jesus as this vibrant script in our lives? This vibrant guidance, this empowerful guidance that can help us. And alongside the Spiritism doctrine with the explanations as we just saw it here, can really make a strong impact in everyone's lives. That's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Luis. I have Sania and Anna saying good morning. And I really like the reflection about, first we might get caught up on the whole gift giving and worrying about the menu for the day and forget about inviting Jesus to our home.
Yeah. To join the supper.
Exactly, to join the supper. And after all, it's for him.
It's for him, exactly. Yeah.
And the other one was yearly, this reminder of Christ's birth within ourselves. That's really powerful.
I would say that it's even the divine mercy, right? To give us not only one time in our life, but I don't know, if we live 85, it's 85 times to remind ourselves about love and to kind of renew that joy, right? And renew whatever we need to do in the next year. Yeah. Awesome. So let's go to our final prayer. So connected as we are with our God, our Father, and Jesus, let's again not forget about being grateful for everything that we were able to accomplish throughout this year. Be grateful for this joy and for this renewed cycle that the divine mercy gives us, so we can continue with our journey for the next year and for the next years ahead. And even that maybe the cycle that is kind of going behind us might not be the best ones, or that might be one of the most challenging ones, or we might have made a little bit of wrong decisions. Let's take that apprentice feeling and learn with everything that happened, and remember that the divine mercy will always be there for us, and we will have as many opportunities that are required for us to learn whatever we need to learn and to achieve that happiness state that we are all designed, and we'll all get to that point. Let's ask that we have a blessed Sunday, that we have a blessed week, a blessed rest of this year of 2021, and start already extending this joyfulness, this love, this wisdom of God to the next year. Let's build that encouragement and that empowerment for us to continue doing the work of Jesus, the work of Jesus within us. Because we know as we do this work within us, we start helping all our neighbors that are surrounding us. Let us have a serene week, an enlightened week with love and joy. So be it.